Welcome to the Typing Agent Informational Series. In this video, we will cover the District Administrator role. First, let's start off by reviewing the home screen. Starting left from right, at the top left we have the Typing Agent logo, which also acts as a Return Home button. To the right of that, we have the search bar, useful for searching users, classrooms, and other items. Moving right, we have the Demo Student button. This button enables staff and administrators to view the student experience. Next, we have the Report Bug button. This button is useful for administrators and staff to report glitches or bugs in the system by filling out an online form that goes to our development and engineering teams. Next, we have the Profile drop-down menu button. This lets you view your profile, your account, another Demo Student button, a link to the Solution Center, and the Logout button. Moving down, we have the green Getting Started bar. This bar allows you to follow steps to upload your schools, your staff, your classes, and your students. When first logging in, you'll be presented with a pop-up with the Typing Agent tips. If you ever need to get back to this, you can simply navigate here to this eye and click it, and these pop-ups will come again. It's highly recommended to overview these, as they have useful information on how to manage your account. Moving down, we have the School Management button. This button is useful for managing things like schools, classrooms, and other settings that pertain to your entire account. To the right of that, we have the User Management button. This is useful for managing users on your account. Next, we have the Reporting button. This is useful for viewing reports that affect the entire district. And to the right of that, we have the Solution Center button. Moving to the bottom right, we have the blue Chat button. This button is useful for chatting with Typing Agent support and also searching our Solution Center for articles or questions you might have. Let's take a look at school management. Starting from the columns here, we can see the name of the schools, the administrator account, the student count, the school code, if the code is enabled or disabled, and the created on date. Just a note, the student count isn't an accurate representation of the licenses being used, as students theoretically could be assigned to multiple schools. So in this case, we show 8 students total, but maybe only 6 of them are actual licenses being used, as 2 students may be assigned to multiple schools. Coming back to the top here, we can see next to schools is a little button. This is an export button. Anytime this is visible, this allows you to export the data on the screen. In this case, it would allow you to export any school data information for backing up purposes, or if you just needed that information in a CSV format. Moving to the bottom right, we have the green Add button. This allows you to import data using a CSV file, and you can also use the user interface to fill out a form and do it manually on the program. Let's move on to classrooms. Much like the schools tab, it shows you the name of the school this classroom is assigned to, the name of the class, the code for the class, if that code is enabled or disabled, the students assigned to the class, and the date it was created on. Again, this information is exportable via that same button, and much like the schools, you can create a class with the user interface or upload data using a CSV file. Moving on to time settings, we can see the settings here are time zone to set the current time zone of your school. You can set the start time and end time, and the start date and end date of your school year. Moving right on to permissions. Permissions is where an administrator sets the permissions for each user type. and we do this by curriculum, students, and classrooms. So in this case, the ability to create curriculum is given to the district, school, and teacher. You can limit that to just district administrators and school admins, or just district administrators. And again, the same idea with enable and disable curriculum. And we can see that it breaks down into student management, the ability to reset a password, and the ability to set student accommodations. We also have a setting that allows for classroom management. By default, this is enabled for all users, so before you start using your accounts, it's a good idea to set this and then save it and let your staff know what the settings are. Moving forward onto grade settings. Here, administrator can set grade settings. We'll use third grade as our example. Going from top to bottom, we have the curriculum. Here we can see that for a third grade student, the K2 curriculum is not enabled. Keyboarding Foundations 3+ is, so is Digital Citizenship, Targeted Practice, the Type Your Own Adventure, Basic Code, Advanced Code, Spanish, and Supplemental Lessons. Now, depending on what you set on your permission settings, these are just defaults. So anytime you create a student or a teacher creates a student, these are what the default settings will be. So if a teacher has the ability to set curriculum or accommodation settings, they can actually make these adjustments on an individual student basis. Scrolling down, we can see we have a section for games. So we have currently all games enabled by default, and they use grit coins by default. These features are pretty handy if you're looking to maybe not allow any games. You can just go ahead and uncheck this and save, and by default all third grade students when created will not have games enabled, and if the permissions allow it or don't allow it, that will go ahead and take effect, so teachers might not even be able to enable that if you so choose in your permission settings. And you can set the defaults if the skip placement test is enabled to allow students to skip the initial placement test, and the ability to bypass experience point requirements. Moving on to Gradebook. We'll go ahead and use the third grade as an example again. Gradebook is where administrators can set what an accuracy in words per minute translate into a grade. So what you can go ahead and do is make any adjustments you need depending on what your school requirements are. And it also allows you to set what the grade letter actually is. So in some cases, if you're like a pass-fail school or whatever you may do, you can actually change this to any character you wish. Moving forward to target settings, we'll go ahead and use third grade again. Target settings are the star settings that a student will see before and after every lesson. When a student starts a lesson, a little window pops up that tells them what their goal is. So if this case, if a third grader opened a lesson, they would see that in order to achieve 3 stars, they would need to get 16 words per minute and 90% accuracy. Our program weights accuracy very heavily, so even if a student does get 90 words per minute, but they only got 5 accuracy, they would actually be 0 stars. So they need to meet both requirements in order to achieve the setting here. Scrolling down, you can actually set a proficiency requirement, so you can require students to achieve a minimum expectation of maybe 2 stars, 1 star. By default, no proficiency is the default setting. Moving forward to grade level scheduled tests. Grade level scheduled tests is ability for an administrator to set a standardization test or just a general test to mark progress for a student. When they set this, it is actually a pop-up that the student can ignore. They must complete the test to move forward and do lessons for that day. So just be cautious when doing these tests to make sure that the teachers are aware. To create a test, all you need to do is come over here, click Create Scheduled Test, apply your settings, save, and it'll appear and be active for the date and times you set. You can actually come in here and view the data from said tests, and it'll show any student who completed it. This also allows you to export that data. Moving right to District Portal. District Portal is if you're not using any kind of rostering program or single sign-on, we provide a login page. This login page is yourdomain.typingagent.com. We'll go ahead and navigate to that really quickly. Here you can see my login page. My domain is yeti.typingagent.com. This is active if you want to come and take a look at what you can do with it. In this case, I have a logo. It's Igor's School for Gifted Youngsters, and I allow every type of our single sign-on and rostering. I also have my student or my teacher self-registration enabled and student self-registration. These are useful if you want your staff to create their own users. All you need to do is provide them with that school code we talked about earlier, or the class code in the case of the student. All they do is fill out this form. When you do this, it'll actually verify if that code is correct. And when you allow self-registration, they'll just go ahead and click on the button. They'll fill out the form. They'll need the code. The program will verify if the code is valid or not and let the teacher or the student know. If it was valid, you'd get a green check here. They'd put a unique username, a password, their first and last name, and their account would be good to go and log them right in. Just to cover the settings really quick, you're allowed to upload a photo for your school. The organization name, which appears as you saw. The address is optional, so is the city, the state, and zip code. Here you can set color, background color, the text color, and you can allow your login option. So maybe if you use Google or Clever, you just check these boxes as what's appropriate to your account, and if you want to allow those self sign-ons, you'd save and they appear instantly. User management is where a district administrator makes changes or adjustments to the user on their account. Looking left to right, we can see the username column, first name, last name, email, role, last logon, and school. Above this list is a helpful tool that shows you how many licenses you're using for your account, and it's going to show you a number of how many you're using out of how many licenses you have. And then there's a bar graph to show you the used and available. Right below that is our filtering options. Here you can make adjustments to filter by district admins, school admins, teachers, students, or all. A helpful tool is the unassigned students. This would allow you to see any students that are not assigned to a school or classroom. Going to the bottom right, we have the green Add button. This will allow you to add students with the user interface, add staff with the user interface, import staff with a CSV, or import students with a CSV. When selecting a student or a user, flyout menu to the right will pop up, allowing you to reset the password, log in as this person, or make edits to the enrollments that person is assigned. When selecting the edit user enrollments, you get a little pop-up menu like this that'll display and show you the current settings. Any adjustments you make will take change immediately. No need to click a save button unless there's an update button available. And it's the same for students. The enrollments are a little different as you'll assign classrooms and schools. Reporting is where a school administrator can view reports for their school district. Starting from the top, we can see we have an average minutes/weeks, average lessons/weeks, average weekly percentage active student, and a progress report. Below that, we have a bar graph with some monthly data on it. And if we scroll over, we can actually see some information highlighted. And if we chose, we could also export this into a number of formats. Let's go ahead and move down to grade level scheduled tests. Here we can view the performance, a graph of a grade level scheduled test if we had any results. Going back. Let's move on to usage report. In the usage report, we have a report that is customizable by months. So we can select a month here. Customize that end month, and it'll pull those reports for each of those months. We can see the number of active teachers and the number of active students in this report. Moving to the top right on this, we can go into a detailed school usage report. Here you can see a little more information, including the average accuracy and average words per minute for each school. This is also customizable by either using a custom date range or one of the predetermined settings here, like last week or this month. You can also come in here and select the schools you wish to filter by. Let's move over to teacher usage. A very similar report, just filtered by the teachers. Again, you can do the same customizable settings. And finally, a grade usage report. All these reports are exportable using the export download button right here. All right, moving on, let's go back to reporting and go to upload history. Upload history is going to show all the CSV files that have been uploaded for your account. Moving on to upload history, this is going to show a record of all the CSV files or data that's been uploaded to your account. It shows the type, what the file name was, when it was uploaded, when it was processed, and the status, and if any errors. This is very useful in looking back to see when some data may have appeared or went missing. You can actually click on these and see the upload itself to compare and review if needed. Moving forward, let's go to district activity. This is going to be a quick snapshot of the activity of your school district. So this is kind of going to show you user does something at class something. So in this case, we see the user Igor, which is us, updated class A with some kind of information. This is just meant to be a snapshot, kind of a log of what was going on. It's not going to tell you detailed information on what the changes were. That it's just going to show that the changes did occur. And you can filter this by 7 days, 30 days, and all days. Going back to reporting, we can then go into the custom reports. Custom reports are pretty robust as they are a customized report of any information you're looking for. So you can go ahead and select multiple, run that report, and it'll bring that information you've requested. Please note you can actually move this around and customize it. So put the columns in which way you want. And all of these are always accessible via exportable via this button right here. Show an example, the schools. And students, they tend to have a lot more information. Let's move on to custom reports. Custom reports, as they say, are customizable reports, so you can actually come in here, make multiple selections, move them over to this window right here, run the report, and the information will be below. All this information is exportable via this export button right next to Run Report. It is worth noting that you can actually customize the order in which these appear. When you run the report, it'll actually show the top being the far left, the bottom being the far right. Let's take a look at something with more information. We can see we can actually pull quite a bit of information with the student tab here. And you can actually see all of that right there. It is worth noting that student passwords are not encrypted and plain text, so it's a nice feature for administrators if they need to provide a student a password so they're not resetting it every time, or maybe the younger students are having trouble. Just an easy tool we provide. Again, this is exportable via that button right here. Now back at the home screen, let's take a look at some final things. First, we're going to go over the profile drop-down menu. First, click on My Profile. Here we can see we can change the profile photo. Simply click on Change Photo, upload a photo of your choice, and that'll take effect immediately. Moving to the right, we have some options here. One to change your title, email address, first name. You can reset your password here, last name, and you can choose a language preference. Click Save and those settings take effect immediately. Back to the drop-down menu, we're going to go to Account. On the far left, we have the name of our account, the username for the owner of the account, the district name, it's Igor School for Gifted Youngsters. The district ID is the domain name. And when the account has was activated. We have a web address here to our unique login page. That is yeti.typingagent.com. It's always going to be the domain name .typingagent.com. Under account usage, we have what the current statistics of our license usage is. So this is 16% because we have 50 licenses and only 8 students are being used. It is worth noting that staff do not use licenses, it's only student accounts. Moving to the right, we have our payment information. This lets us know that we have 317 days left on our current license. The expiration date is May 8th, 2020. We have 8 students in use. Below this is the purchase button. This is used because we don't currently have an active account. This is a trial. And below that is our current account rep, who we can reach out to for changes or concerns, comments. Linda's there for me for anything I need. Let's move on to Demo Student. The Demo Student experience is your personal private typing agent account that you can mess with, play with, and it doesn't affect your reporting. It is worth noting that anything you do here does save. So if you wanted to complete the K2 curriculum, you don't need to do it in one shot. If you did it halfway through and came back, it would actually save your progress just like a student. The only difference is it won't affect your reporting. Alright, to return, you just click on the yellow Return to Admin button. It is worth noting it shows that you're currently logged in as Demo Student. This is for letting you know that you're not on your account currently. So return to admin, and we're back at the home screen. We have a link to the Solution Center here. Definitely worth taking a look at. In this case, we're using Typing Agent 5, and we have plenty of articles here that'll help you find what you need to, and if not, just reach out to our support. They're more than willing to help always. This concludes this walkthrough. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please reach out to us. We can be reached by support@typingagent.com. You can also use the chat or give us a call. Thank you. Have a great day.